You shortlisted a few designers to interview, but each one of them has a different fee structure and a different way to charge. You are unable to understand and confused how to decide how interior designers charge their professional fees. Hi, I'm Riddhi Rathore. In this video, I'm going to explain 5 different ways interior designers charge their fees. Percentage over cost. This is one of the most popular methods around in the industry, which is great for residential projects. It may also be used for commercial as well. The designer calculates the total overall cost of the project, including the products, the labor and services, and they would charge a certain percentage of fees, which would vary from 6% to 15% as a design fee. This can also shoot up to 20% depending on the level of design detailing, expertise and level of experience of the designer. Pros and cons of this method. Most clients are very comfortable with this method as the percentage of fees is charged only on the items bought or purchased. Designers are also very comfortable with it as every single item or the amount of work, scope of work done, they can charge for that. If the scope of work is reduced, their fees will reduce considerably and vice versa. Though some clients feel that the designer might take advantage of the situation and purposely choose pricey items to increase their fees, so they disregard this method. However, high-end items and expensive items will only make their space look more stylish and the final result will be beautiful. This will probably please the client and at the same time promote the interior designer as well. There is definitely a way around if you feel that the designer is actually taking advantage of you and on purpose choosing pricey items which are out of your budget. It's best to discuss the budget prior starting of the project and make the designer understand your restraints. If you're ready to spend the kind of money designer is asking for the look you want, great. But if you have any concerns regarding the budget, please inform prior so that designer can choose low budget items and include them in your decor. The second method is as per floor area, which is per square feet or per meter square. This is a very simple method of fee calculation. The interior designer measures up the space and calculates the square foot area of the space and multiplies it by a predetermined charge which is mutually agreed upon before. Based on the factors and scope of work, the designer charges from around 100 rupees a square feet to 700 rupees a square feet if you're looking for design plus supervision only. If you're looking for a turnkey solution wherein the price of the materials and the labor and everything is included in the per square feet rate, the price can shoot up to 2000 rupees to 7000 rupees per square feet. So you should ask the designer what includes in the fees quoted. It could only be design services, it could be design plus supervision, some might include the materials also. Talk to them of what and how you want to go about it. The pros and cons of this method. This is a very simple method and very common for commercial projects than residential projects. This method works well for all kinds of projects. However, some designers only use the square foot fee calculation for specific services like layout design or concept design. The third one is hourly rate. This method is used by a lot of professionals and is popular amongst a lot of other industries. It might work for interior designers too. The way it works is interior designers keep a record of the amount of time spent daily on the project and show it to the client at the end of each month. They calculate the amount of fees at an hourly rate and bill them every month. This mode of payment is calculated for the exact amount of time the designer spends on the project, not necessarily the talent and the skills of a certified interior designer. Pros and cons of this method. You need to be wary of this method simply because an interior designer might purposely work slower to increase their fees, and in several ways there will be no way to determine if the fees are appropriate for the amount of work done or not. For example, if a client goes to shop for client A and meanwhile he finds something for client B, who is he going to charge as per the hourly rate? client A or B, it gets very confusing. So how does the client trust whether the fees quoted by the designer are appropriate? However, the hourly rate works perfectly well for smaller consultations. For example, we've launched a service as an hourly consultation wherein if a client wants to execute the project themselves and only needs guidance for a certain amount of time, so we can offer an hourly service based on that over a video call or a one-to-one meeting, and we will answer their queries and help you through each stage as much as possible in the hours decided. Getting a professional opinion for an hourly rate works best. The fourth one is lump sum or prefixed rates. Here the client and the interior designer will discuss intensively and understand the scope of work and note down each and every detail which needs to be done. The designer then quotes an agreeable fee which is set. So this fee is calculated by the designer and there is no transparency on what basis it is charged. The pros and cons of this method: the only drawbacks of this mode of payment is that the scope of work might end up being broader than expected and the designer needs to put more time and energy onto the project. Interior designers are always aware of the fact that it's very difficult to determine the scope of work at the start of the project. Some clients might not even be vocal about their needs at the start, and this might end up displeasing the designer, and they might end up not doing as much work or effort needed for the project. The fifth and the last one is combination of the methods which I've already explained before. This method works in different ways. It could be that a prefixed rate is charged before for the design and the designer charges you an hourly rate for site visits or material selections. It could also be that a per square feet rate is fixed for the layout and then it goes over to a percentage per cost rate as the project proceeds further. It is best to discuss and understand what is comfortable with both of you and come to terms for this. The combination method works well for larger projects and to understand the scope of work as the project proceeds further. This method incorporates best suited and appropriate calculations for your specific project. Hi, this is Riddhi Rathod, founder of Rathod's Design. I hope this video has helped you analyze your options. Please comment, like and share my video. To conclude this topic, it totally depends on the designer how much and how he charges the fees for the services, and also onto the client on what he wants to agree on. But there are certain factors every designer takes into consideration before quoting a certain amount of fee. Check out my next video to understand 7 factors which interior designers consider for charging their fees. Bye.